Hello, this is the Green Corn Rebellion Show, and today I'm here with Alison Petrone, who is the third free city council person in Norman, Oklahoma, which is south of Oklahoma City. Hello, how are you doing today?
I am well. Thank you for inviting me on your show.
You're welcome. And also, she is one of the co-chairs for the Bernie Sanders campaign here in Oklahoma.
I am.
That happened. So
that did happen.
Yeah. So first question, so we can get to know you a little bit, is where are you from and where did you grow up at?
I am a lifelong Okie. So I went to school in Mustang, but I'm an old lady now. I've been in Norman since, I guess my sophomore year of college. So yeah, like 20 years.
All right. So what did you do before you became a city council person?
So I'm a lawyer as well. I went to law school at OU as well. And my husband and I, can you hear my dog snoring? My husband and I also sell real estate.
Right. Cool. So what made you run for city council?
Just a second. Booker, I'm on a call. Want to see my son? Say hi, Booker.
Hi.
So what made me run for city council was getting really fed up with poor public policy decisions that were happening in my city. And I've been really active in the 2016 Sanders election. And so basically what he said was that he needed people to, start running and making the changes that they wanted to see. So that's exactly what I did.
Right. What are some of the things you've done since you've been on city council?
Well, Norman has been in a years-long fight that's basically a huge corporate welfare scam known as a TIF, tax increment financing. So I've been really working hard on that, as have several of my colleagues, to try to unravel that and have public dollars being used for public projects rather than lining developers' pockets. And then we've also, we just passed, first stop, please. Let's see, I think it's been about 3 months now. One of the strongest human rights ordinances in the country, actually, that had just some really forward-looking protections for LGBTQ persons. And so Trevor Project came down for it. It was a really exciting night. And I mean, honestly, our agendas are crazy long, and I am a busy woman, but I'm really enjoying it. And I really feel like that we're making progress here in Norman on our little postage stamp of the world. And we have some environmental initiatives coming that I'm excited about. But it's a constant struggle, a constant fight, because no matter where you're at, there are moneyed interests that fight you every step of the way. So we just keep going.
All right. So now let's talk about Bernie. So how did you end up becoming one of the co-chairs for the campaign here in Oklahoma?
Well, they asked me, and I was humbled by that. So I had already, when the campaign had called and asked if I would be interested in doing an endorsement, and I was like, absolutely, whatever I can do to help the campaign, I'm happy to do. And so I wrote up an endorsement and sent it over with some pictures that they'd asked for as well. And then I got a call back about, I don't know, it probably wasn't even a couple of days. It was pretty fast, honestly. And they asked if I would be interested in being a state co-chair. And I said, I would love to. And it was very moving, honestly. It was not something I was expecting to happen. Just a little city councilor over here in Norman, but it was quite the honor to get that call.
That's really cool because we were both Bernie supporters back in 2016. I don't think I knew you in 2016, but
now you had to have heard my dog snoring.
Yeah, that was loud. But I remember how exciting it was whenever Bernie won the state here by like what was it, over 10 points.
Yeah,
it was really
10
shocked.
and a half.
Yeah, and that was really interesting. And so, how are you feeling about the campaign this year?
I mean, obviously, very exciting. It's a completely different campaign, different race this year, having such a crowded field. But I mean, I think that he has every bit the same momentum. I'm trying to get away from my dog. If not more than he had in 2016. So, yeah, I mean, it's exciting, and I'm always amazed. I mean, it's just, again, it now being in an elected position of just the tiniest that you can possibly get, and having to fight money, I can see the struggles that he's constantly going through, and hearing the people that you wouldn't expect. They're supposed to be your friends, like, with friends like these type of thing, even attacking him. It's obvious why. They basically, you're probably doing something right when it comes down to things like this, because it is powerful people that don't want to give up, and it's usually tax money or mandated payments to them that they have. It's a gravy train, and they're used to buying their power. That was something that I thought was really interesting during the last Democratic debate, when Bloomberg slipped up and actually said, I bought
them.
I bought those seats, basically, is what he'd said. And he wasn't kidding. That's the way they feel about it. Like, I spent the money, you belong to me. So, I mean, if nothing else, I think that while I've been really frustrated a lot with the whole Bloomberg phenomenon, the American people needed to see it. They really did. I mean, it's exposed a lot for the body politic in the United States to see how powerful money really can be. So, I don't know. We just got to make sure Bernie wins.
Yeah. So, what specific policy of Bernie's do you like the best, or do you think is the best policy? Or what attracts you to Bernie the most, I guess?
So, okay. I would say the environmentalist side of me is, we got to get this under control, or the rest of it doesn't really matter. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if we get to a point, if we don't start moving on climate change, it's going to be suffering for all of humanity. So that's just something that it's always first and foremost. But then the other issues, I believe, are all equally important, just in different ways. So, and it just depends. I mean, everybody relates to Bernie in a different way from their own personal position and where they're at, what they're needing, whether it's healthcare, even if they are insured. If they're underinsured, that's just like being uninsured. If you can't afford to go to the doctor, even with the insurance that you have, that's not insurance. And even further, when you start thinking about insurance, what is it? I mean, why are we paying this middleman paper pusher thousands of dollars to tell us that we can't go to the doctor? So it might be insurance or medical coverage that's really important for some people, and it is. I've lived that. I actually have insurance now, but I would much rather have Medicare for all, because, again, why am I paying all of this money to Blue Cross? It makes no sense. But again, just being what I'm doing now and fighting corporate welfare, I mean, I haven't heard any other candidate who is willing to go to bat and willing to really stand up to those. It's a Ponzi scheme. It really is. It's a legalized tax grabbing Ponzi scheme is what it ends up being for corporate welfare. And it's devastating our communities. And so I love his transparency and that he's willing to take that on, because it's not easy. The social justice issues are just, we have needed, somebody who, I mean, I think he's authentic. I think that he is compassionate and truly is willing to listen. And if he doesn't have the voices exactly right, he's going to sit down and make sure he gets it right. And I appreciate that, because we have to be able to learn. And I feel like he just genuinely cares for people. So, I mean, I could go on and on about this. I mean, the student debt that I've had from law school, I identify with a lot of the issues personally, but also loved ones in my life and friends and neighbors. I mean, I see and talk to so many different people and hear their struggles, and he touches on so many of them. Elder care. I mean, I know that that's something that our generation doesn't think about a lot, but you think that medical insurance is a beast. Wait until trying to deal with not having long-term care coverage, because it probably won't even be available for us or for our parents. And it's insanely expensive. And, I have friends that are trying to figure out what to do, because they work more hours than they ever have before. So just having mom or dad move in that's not going to solve the issue of trying to take care of them. They're not there. So, I mean, he really does touch on so many different hugely important issues. Infrastructure. It might not be sexy. Let me tell you, here in Norman, we got flooding issues like crazy. And it's whether it's climate change related or just, overbuilt and poor building codes for way too long and allowing developers to run amok. Doesn't really matter if it's all of those issues combined that caused it. The fact of the matter is we have huge infrastructure issues all across this country that need to get dealt with. So I don't know. I just think he's my guy.
All right.
I could talk about that for an hour easily.
How are you feeling about things currently in our state? Like what's happening in the state legislature?
Poor Oklahoma. Those questions are probably better suited for Jacob, but Representative Rosecrans.
Yeah.
But I will say, he's my representative, so I'm well taken care of in having representation at the state legislature. But always on election years, you can expect in Oklahoma that you're just going to get some crazy bills. I mean, and that's kind of what we're going through right now, basically, whether it's women's rights issues or, let's just wait and see on that. You can probably catch me to go through a real rant in a couple of months on that. Right now, most of them are shell bills, so it's hard to say how crazy of language they're going to decide to fill them with. But obviously, I have 2 kids in public education. I have an 11-year-old, and you saw Booker. He's 8, so public education issues are super important to me. And I know that Jacob's out there fighting the good fight on that, and whatever he needs me to do, I'm happy to help. But we'll see the language on a bunch of those bills. Oh, by the way, he has a really cool bill, education bill that he's running right now that I think it has a really good chance of passing. So he seems to have some good support on it.
Yeah, I had him on my show a couple of months ago. I think he was telling me about it.
Yeah. So, and then also, there is a Native bill for missing and murdered Indigenous women that Ashley Nicole McCrae, do you know her?
Yeah.
She's pretty fantastic. So she helped author a bill that I think Forrest Bennett's running it. That is a really important piece of legislation too, because we are one of the highest rates of missing and murdered Indigenous women. So anyway, so that's kind of the ones I've been paying attention to, just because they're my friends running them, and they piqued my interest along the way. But yeah, we'll see what they come up with. I'm sure it'll be something that we can be embarrassed by later on what the Republicans decide to fill these shell bills with.
Yeah. My last question I have here is, who are your favorite music artists?
Oh my. I should have known you were going to ask me that. My goodness. So honestly, the music that you listened to was like out when I was in high school. Like that's, those were our bands. It was a lot of grunge, but I don't know, man. I don't know how to say what my favorite music is. I honestly don't listen to enough music. I should. It seems like podcasts have taken over my world.
Well, what podcasts are you listening to?
Today while I was doing yard work, let me think. I don't know if I can pull it up at the same time. I was listening to a CBC podcast. I don't know. I listened, the one that's in my mind, but though I didn't listen to it today, I finished it a while back, but it came up in conversation the other day, was This Land. I thought that was really fantastic and well done. And my understanding is that, is it Rebecca Nagel?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my understanding is that she was introduced Jane Sanders in Tahlequah this last night, or at least she was an organizer in Tahlequah, I believe. But anyway, so that conversation came up, and I was thinking about how profound that podcast was, and I really enjoyed it. But I'm listening to, it's about gosh, I guess I'm kind of a little grotesque. It's about a missing and murdered woman, but I don't even remember what it was called now. I'll get back to you on that. I forgot. I have several of them going. I listen to Supreme Court opinions and just a lot of things people find very boring. I actually am nerdy and like, so I'm a policy geek.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on. Where can we find you on social media? And you still have a website that we can go to in order to see anything that you're doing?
I'm in, my website from the campaign is under construction because I haven't needed it for a little while. So, but it'll probably be back up. And that's just AlisonPetrone.com. So AlisonPetrone. And my Facebook's open, Alison McCormick Petrone. My maiden name is McCormick. And I have a Twitter that I don't ever really use, so I need to get it. And I think it's, I don't know. I have one for being a city councilor, but I don't think I've ever even used it. So, but I do lurk. Y'all should know I do have an account, but I'm not going to tell you what it is. I'm watching y'all. I see you. I see what you're saying. That's all I got to say about that. So maybe I'll decide to not be incognito and be me one day on there, but I really kind of enjoy just being able to say what I want and lurk.
All right. Thank you for coming.
Is that creepy sounding? I have enough social media in my life. It's not as fun as it used to be. I have to run like my ward pages and all that stuff. It's just, it becomes a job in and of itself.
Well, thank you.
Any other questions?
That's all I have. That's it.
Well, I really appreciate your activism, and I'm super impressed with how hard you're working at this. And my undergraduate's in political science too, so go change the world. It needs it.
All right. Thanks.
All right. See you soon.
All right.